This is a PowerPoint that I created in 2018, so 7 years ago, for covering a EV trip that I took from Washougal, Washington to Santa Barbara, California. It's very representative of charging a non-Tesla on such a trip. In 2018, it is not at all representative of charging a non-Tesla or a Tesla in 2025. Enjoy. This is all about our adventure of driving an electric car from Washougal, Washington to Santa Barbara, California. The necessity of the trip was because my brother-in-law Jason needed to move his Nissan Leaf from Washougal to Santa Barbara because he took a job in Santa Barbara, needed to move the car. And I'd always wondered if it could be done, so we decided to do it. It starts. That's me, Randy, on the left. That's Jason on the right, and Jason's dog, Zyka, who also needed to move down to Santa Barbara, in the foreground. So Zyka would be going with us. He's a Jack Russell Terrier. The 2016 Nissan Leaf has a theoretical maximum of 107 miles on a single charge, but Jason had neglected to charge it fully the night before, so we were starting at 77% of that, or around 80 some miles, on the first leg of the trip. On the left is the gas trip we would have taken if we had a gas vehicle. As you can tell, it's about 962 miles, and it would have had 3 or 4 gas refueling sessions and maybe an hour total of charging. Of refueling. On the right is the electric trip that we actually took. It was 1,083 miles. There were a total of 21 recharging sessions, and the recharging time was around 16 hours. You're probably asking, well, why so many charging sessions? Well, although the range is 107 miles, when you're doing quick charging, it only charges to about 80% of that. So we were actually on the outside, we'd have about 80 miles between recharging sessions. So theoretically, if there were 1,083 miles divided by 80, it would have been approximately 14 recharging sessions, but it turned out to be 50% more than that. And that's because we couldn't always charge on L3 charging sessions, and we'll get to that later. Why 80 miles? Well, because when the battery is in the sweet spot in the middle, you can charge it up to 100% on a fast charge. But if it's too hot or too cold, it's roughly 80% of that. And the fast charging limits it to about that to protect the battery. It has to do this fancy algorithm that tries to evenly charge all the cells, but it's not always possible when you're doing a quick charge. So that's why they limit it to 80%. And as the day goes on, continually fast charging the battery will heat it up as well as driving it will. Our first charge. This is a level 3 EV charger in Woodburn, Oregon. A word about that. The L3 charges that's what was considered a fast charge. The kind that the Nissan Leaf uses is called chidemo, which is a Japanese phrase, which you can see in the text there. It means how about a cup of tea, which is about how long it should take to charge up the battery to 80%, about 30 minutes. Also, you'll notice on the side there is a logo for the West Coast Electric Highway Project, which is made to specifically enable these kinds of trips. Well, that was charged on the L3 charger. I went across the street to go eat at McDonald's, and I found this L2 charger. L2 chargers are a lot slower, but they use 240 volt chargers, and this McDonald's had a free one here right outside, so that you could put a little charge in your electric vehicle. The green marking on the left is indicating that that spot is reserved for an electric car, and there was nobody actually in that spot. The one on the right is got a little white line, and there was a gas truck that was parked there that would have prevented the second vehicle from charging. Okay, the first night we pulled over at a motel and slept there for the night. This is an example of L1 charging. Jason's got a little L1 charger that's in the back of the car that we pulled out. Actually popped the screen off of the motel window. You can see the Nissan Leaf outside the window, and we actually draped this charger from inside the motel room through the window, and we're charging it overnight on an L1 charge, which is the typical charge that people do at home. So our first concern was we were leaving Southern Oregon and we were going into Northern California, and on the planning website that we were using, which is PlugShare, it's a good planning site, there was no convenient charger in the middle of there. But we were nearing Wairika, California, and I saw the McDonald's sign, so I said we should pull over and get some breakfast, which was a really fortunate event for us because we found this L3 charger, which wasn't on the map, right next to the McDonald's. We were very, very happy for that. Allowed us to start off with a good charge. Okay, next opportunity to charge. We had seen on the PlugShare website that the previous people had said that the fast charge in the picture here was still not working. We were hoping that it had been fixed by the time we got there. It wasn't. The chargers are actually wrapped in plastic because it's not up and functional yet, and it had been there for months, and we weren't quite sure why it was not working. So we really needed a charge, so we were kind of disappointed about that, but we knew that there was an L2 charging station down the road in Dunsmuir. Okay, here is the motel in Dunsmuir with the L2 charger. It actually turned out to be a Tesla charger that we couldn't use because we were in a Nissan Leaf. But the motel owner had an adapter that was supposed to allow him to charge the L2 charger vehicle, the L2 plug. It's a J1772. We could never get it to work. So that was our second disappointment, and we were getting kind of nervous, but we had to step on down the road. As we were going along, we were getting kind of nervous. As it turns out, Nissan Leaf, if it's too low on charge, it doesn't tell you how much percent you've got. It doesn't tell you how many estimated miles you got. It just tells you your battery is low. And we'd been driving for 85.2 miles since the last charge, and so we were getting really kind of nervous. We finally just had to stop and ask for a cup of sugar, or in this case, a charge of 110 voltage. We pulled into the Bridge Bay at Shasta Lake, which is a resort. And our choice was largely because it was downhill from I-5. Okay, so we talked to uh, the technical guy at the resort, and he was very interested in our little adventure. And we told him we just needed to plug into a 110 outlet, and he showed us this, which is kind of cool. It was a series of 110 outlets that are typically used by boat owners because they have various devices that need to charge on boats also. So we plugged into this our L1 charger for a couple of hours to get to the next electric vehicle charger down the road. Jason really wanted to check out this. This is an L2 charger that was put out by the city of Lake Shasta, and it was very cool because the roof had solar panels that powered the L2 charger, and it tracked the sun. You can just make out the motors there below the roof line there, and it actually moved while we were charging. And again, we pulled over for a while to charge on. Our previous one was an L1 charger, which is slow, and this is not as slow, but it's still pretty slow. This is an L2 charger, but we got it for free, which is nice. But we got just enough charge to get down to the next L3 charger. Okay, this one is our this is a white knuckle experience because we were pulling in on fumes into the Sacramento airport because there was supposed to be an L3 charger, and there was. If you look over to the right, that big white box is an L3 charger. We were able to get there, but it didn't work. We called up the company. Green Lots is the name. They couldn't get it to work. I don't know why it didn't work. So that denied us our ability to charge with an L3 charger. And we instead charged on the L2 charger to the left there. That worked. So we charged enough to get down to the next L3 charger. Okay, this is the display that you see when you're driving. On the left is the temperature of the battery. On the right is how much charge you have left. Also in the dead center there's a indication of how much what that percentage number is. In this case it's 12%. But the temperature is also really important. As we discussed earlier, if it gets too hot, it doesn't let you charge as much. So you'll notice there we're close to the two top red bars, which means that the battery is hot and you're not going to get as much of a charge. So this was the last charge we did of that day. Okay, I haven't shown you every charging station that we stopped at, but this one was kind of cool. This one was in Bakersfield, California. It's the Kearns Federal Credit Union, and the neat thing about it is it's got a level 3 charger, but the level 3 charger is actually powered by solar panels, which are on the roof there. There's 5 roofs, and they all have solar panels, and not only does it provide shade for the drivers, but it also powers the L3 charger. So we were very excited about that. Okay, we were just about to go up the Grapevine, which if you drive a lot on the freeway in California, you know is a steep uphill climb that a lot of trucks hang out in the right lane because they have problems with their brakes overheating. We were just about to climb the Grapevine, and we were low on energy, low on electricity. And so we pulled off at the outlets at Tejon. There was supposed to be an L2 charger that we could charge. There it is. You can see Jason trying to get it to work. We never were able to get it to work. So that made us really nervous. And by the way, It was a Green Lots charger. Um, there's in the background you can see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 or 7 um, chargers that also didn't work. They're all Green Lots. Green Lots, we love you. So we had to white knuckle ourselves up the grapevine. I was hanging out in the right lane, making lots of friends. People were really eager to show me their middle finger. Um, but we did make it finally to an L3 charger in sort of midway up the hill in Gorman, California. It's a Studio 6 motel. And we got this to work, so we were very excited about that. So we did it. Yay! Here we are in the end of the 3rd day of driving. We had just pulled into our destination. We were really tired. But yeah, you can do it. Day 3. Lots of driving. 16 hours of charging. Here's a picture of us in Wairika at that charging station that we didn't know even existed before we took the trip. It's a placard for the West Coast Electric Highway. It's great in principles. It's, the idea is that you can go from Canada down to Mexico on I-5 and you can charge all along the way. This is great in principle, but you probably don't want a car that's going to give you about, if you're lucky, 80 miles between charging stations. It just makes for too much time spent charging.